Today is the solemnity of the Most Holy Trinity, and I'd like to use a very simple schema, which I've used for other homilies, which is what, so what, now what. So what is the doctrine of the Most Holy Trinity? So what difference does that make in our lives? And now what? How should we act differently in light of it? And I'd like to begin by telling you a story about St. Augustine, where he had a vision one day, where he's walking along a beach, and he sees a boy who's made a hole in the beach, and he has a bucket, and he's going out into the ocean, and he's picking up ocean water, and he's coming back and pouring it into his hole. He's doing this a couple times. And Augustine says to him, "What are you doing?" The boy says, "Oh, I'm going to take up the ocean, and I'm going to put it in my hole." And Augustine says, "You can't do that. There's no way the vastness of the ocean is going to fit into that hole." And the child says, "In the same way, you cannot fit the vastness of God into your own mind." And then he disappeared. And oftentimes when we talk about mysteries of the Christian faith, what do we mean? And there was an apologist named Frank Sheed. He once wrote an incredible book called Theology and Sanity. And in it, he says when we call something a mystery, it doesn't mean that we can't know anything about it. It just means that we cannot know everything about it. So when something is a mystery, we should, to the best of our ability, try to enter into it, knowing, though, that we cannot fully exhaust it. We cannot fit the ocean of who God is into our finite little minds. So in light of that, I would like to speak of an analogy of the Trinity. I got it by Bishop Barron, from St. Augustine through Bishop Barron, and it's an analogy of the mind. St. Augustine knew that the way that we image God cannot be material because God is spiritual. It must be something spiritual and immaterial, and he thought of the mind. And Augustine is one of the great psychologists in human history. And Augustine thought this way: I have a mind, and my mind is capable of making an image of itself. My mind is capable of engaging in self-contemplation. I can think about me. Now, I know that sounds abstract, but you and I do this all the time. If you've ever said something like, "What was I thinking? What was I doing?" You're making an image of yourself, you're engaging in an act of self-contemplation, and you're thinking about yourself. So you have your mind, and then you have self-knowledge. That's what Augustine says. Now, if you push that further, now let's say a person is in a therapeutic relationship, a counseling relationship, spiritual direction, or even talking to a good friend, and you're talking to them about yourself. And as you do that, as you think about this image of yourself, you begin to have a greater acceptance of who you are, and you grow in love for yourself. That's why I do that. That's why I'm like that, right? So my mind thinks about itself, self-knowledge, and then there is a self-love, a love of self that comes from that. And now, at no point during this have I broken into three persons. I didn't have some sort of psychotic break. I'm one person, and these three parts are objects, all inhere in the one person. And Augustine says that is an analogy for the Most Holy Trinity. That God the Father, the perfect image of the Father, is the Son. I think at the end of John's Gospel, Philip says, "Show us the Father, and that will be enough for us." And Jesus says, "Philip, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father." And then the Holy Spirit is the love, as the Father beholds the Son beholds the Father. The Holy Spirit is the love between them. Something that might be a little more concrete is biblically we say that God is love. Now again, when we hear that, we often immediately think God is loving. Like love is something that God does, but love is who God is. God is love. And to love, you need three things. You need the lover, you need the beloved, and you need the love that they share. So you have God the Father, forever loving his Son, Jesus. Jesus perfectly reciprocates that love, and the love that they share is the third person of the Trinity, which is the Holy Spirit. That's what we say, one God in three persons. Okay, so what? So that's who God is. Why does that matter? Well, most importantly, because we're made in God's image and likeness, which means that we are made to love. Another way to say that is love is your origin, it's your vocation, it's your destiny. You're made by love, you're made to love, and you're made for love. And you're meant to be in communion with other people. If you think about C.S. Lewis, he wrote a book called The Great Divorce, and in it he has an image of hell where these people are in this dark universe. They're kind of these shadowy figures, and they're forever hurtling away from each other at this great amount of speed, getting further and further away from each other. Why would that be an image of hell? And the answer is because you and I are made in the image and likeness of a God who is love. So hell would be to be alone, utterly alone. That's why Pope Benedict says hell is an impenetrable loneliness. And if you think about people who are tempted to end their own life, or people who do that, one of the great factors in that is usually a profound sense of loneliness. I feel like I'm all alone. I feel like nobody understands who I am. I feel like if I wasn't here, nobody would care. Why is that feeling so painful for a human person? Because we're made in the image and likeness of God, who is love. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to be in communion with others. From the very beginning, book of Genesis, God says it is not good for man to be alone. It's not good for man not to love. So what? Now what? Well, the point of life is learning how to love. When I was a kid, this is still true as an adult, I used to get very excited if a person said to me, hey, can I share with you a secret? It's like, yeah. Yeah, you can. And if somebody said this, hey, I want to share something with you that I've never shared with anyone before. I want to share something with you I've only shared with a very few amount of people. I would get excited because it's like, wow, this person trusts me enough that they're willing to be vulnerable, that they're willing to self-disclose, reveal something about themselves. And I don't know about you, but my favorite paragraph in the Catechism is paragraph 221. And in it, it says this. But St. John goes even further when he affirms that God is love. God's very being is love. By sending his only Son in the spirit of love in the fullness of time, God has revealed his innermost secret. That's what the Catechism says. God has revealed to us his innermost secret. The God of the universe, who holds the universe into being, which is 46 billion light years of cross, says, I'm going to share with you my innermost secret. What is God's innermost secret? God himself is an eternal exchange of love, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and he has destined us to share in that exchange. That's God's innermost secret. That he's an eternal exchange of love, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and he's destined us to share in that exchange. That's why John Paul II once said, if man does not learn to love, he forever remains a mystery to himself. Because it's why you're here. It's why I'm here. It's the point of our lives. Earth is a prerequisite to heaven, and the thing we're trying to learn to do so that we actually belong in heaven is to learn to love. That's it. Or here's another question. You ever asked yourself, why is sinning bad? Is sin arbitrary? Did God just randomly decide that's bad, that's good, that's bad, that's good? Why is sinning bad? Why is it bad to sin? Answer. I'll answer that by asking a different question. Why is it bad to put milk into my Nissan Altima? Like into the gas tank? To put Gatorade in it? To put water in it? Why is that bad? Because somebody made my car and they made it to run on gasoline. And so I can put something else in my car. It's going to blow up. But I could do that. It will destroy my car. It'll start smoking and making terrible sounds. But I could do that. And since you and I are made in the image and likeness of God who is love, we're meant to run on love. We can run on other things, fear, guilt, shame. You can run on those things. It doesn't go well. You feel like something's not right. I don't think I was made for this. You're right. You're made for love. You're made for mercy, for forgiveness. And so the reason why sin is wrong is because it violates love. It goes against your own nature. If you think about any sin, pride, lust, greed, selfishness, condemning judgments, unforgiveness, they're all offenses against love, about being in communion with other people. Sin makes us feel alone, and we hate that feeling because we're made by love, to love, and for love. That's why we hate that feeling. That's why we hate sinning. I was not made for this. I was made for love. Socrates, the Greek philosopher, said, a person would not care if they had every good in the world if they could not share it with another person. You just wouldn't care having anything good if you were incapable of sharing it with another, because you're made for love. So I just want to draw out two very simple practical things for our lives. The first is, the first place we learn to love is the family. That's why the family is so important. What's the main point of your family? Do you know those people you live with? What's the main point of them? They're trying to teach you how to love. That's the main point of having a family. You're trying to learn to love. Amidst all these sinners, you're a sinner, they're a sinner. But by God's grace, we're trying to learn how to love in this community. And so we don't want to start somewhere abstract. It's the most real thing. Augustine says, if you've seen love, you've seen the Trinity. And the first place we're meant to experience that is in our families. And the second is, for all of us as followers of Jesus, the best way to evaluate our lives is to evaluate them by love. And the best way to do that concretely every day is at the end of your day is to do what's called an examination of conscience. Which is, in other words, I look back at my day and I say, where was God drawing close to me? How was Jesus inviting me to love him through all the different people I encountered? And did I reciprocate? Did I love or did I sin? Did I turn away from love? And where I sinned, I asked God for mercy. And where I loved, I thank God for the grace that I did that. And then I begin again. Because the only way to be a follower of Jesus is to choose to be one every day. And the best way to evaluate my life is to evaluate it by love. Because we can evaluate our lives by how much money did I make this year? What was my GPA this year? Did I get in better shape or worse shape? Those things are not unimportant. But the most important thing is that this year, this month, this week, this day, is you learn better how to love. That's why the Trinity is important. Because we're made in the image and likeness of a God who is love. Or St. John of the Cross says, at the end of your life, you will be judged by how you love.